Oh, come on, that's where the game ends? Now I have to get the second one. Nihon Falcom, I owe you my life once again. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Man, if you told me a year ago that I'd be playing a remake of Trails in the Sky so soon, I would have called you crazy. But here we are. I've finally finished the game, and for this review, there's really only one way to start. If you aren't a fan of the words peak fiction, goat, raw, fire, click off the video. There's gonna be a whole lot of that because this game, Trails in the Sky First Chapter, is one of the most amazing things I've ever had the pleasure of playing. It's no stretch to say that this game is the embodiment of the word perfection. I know it's a pretty bold claim to start things off, but I'm more than ready to back it up. But before we get into it, if you end up enjoying the video, consider subscribing. We're on the road to 1K and I'm dying to see how close we can get by the end of the year. Alright, enough with the intro. Let's get straight to it. So first off, as usual for most of my reviews nowadays, I want to talk about more general stuff. In this case, the game's presentation and overall vibe. I said it before in my first impressions video, but I really feel like it needs to be said again. This game is absolutely beautiful, man. Every single part of the game is such a pleasure to look at. There's a reason people thought this game was outsourced when it was first announced. A Falcom game has never looked this good before. I'm not saying their games are ugly, far from it in fact. East 10 and especially Horizon are amazing looking games in their own right, but Sky the First feels like it's multiple steps ahead of the already huge jump those two games took. I was blown away just from the demo, but my appreciation for the game's art style just skyrocketed once I got further in. I didn't end up watching too many of the promotional videos before the game dropped, so I got to experience like 99% of the game firsthand, and man, what an experience it was. Running around in the open fields of the highways felt so different to what I've come to know from previous Trails games. The highways were always pretty big, especially in CS3, and exploring was always fun, but Sky the First just feels like it's on a completely different level. The world itself has never felt so vast before. Being able to run around in such an open, sprawling area, fighting all the enemies you can and seeing cities and towers off in the distance felt amazing. Even now, I can still hardly believe that Falcom was able to make this game so seamless. The fact you can run across an entire highway and walk straight into a city with no lag or no load screens was just surreal to see with my own eyes. All the areas were translated beautifully into 3D. The sense of scale and general attention to detail was amazing, and I feel like the cities themselves were definitely one of the highlights of the game's art style. Roaming around the cities felt like a special experience all on their own. It was like each area was just begging me to take my time and enjoy the sights. Bus and Grand Cell felt bustling with life whenever I was in town. Seeing and hearing various NPCs as I walked the streets to go to shops or handle side quests really added to the overall immersion. It just made me start to connect and fall in love with the world even more than I could have realized. And I was honestly shocked when I finally set foot in Zeiss. With me being 8 games deep in the series, or technically 9 if you count this too, I was dead set in thinking that my favorite industrial city was Ruhr from Cold Steel. However, I would be lying if I said playing this game didn't remind me of how amazing Zeiss is. Getting to look through all the floors of the central factory and roaming around the city itself with the music in the background really made it feel special. And don't even get me started on Ruan, man. It was my favorite town in the game by a long shot. I've always loved port towns in games or anime, which is weird to say because I'm starting to realize I've never actually seen the ocean in real life. Maybe Otto Christian really is just like me. Anyways, towns near water are always memorable to me, and Ruan was no exception. I don't think there's any other way I can describe it other than that the vibes were just immaculate. There's just something about the white walls of all the buildings against the clear blue ocean that's just so soothing to look at. Honestly, this whole game had that kind of relaxing feeling. Well, when I wasn't in a boss fight anyway. I think Sky the First is a prime example of a video game having soul. Literally everything about the game just looks, feels, and sounds amazing. The animations are genuinely some of the best we've seen from Falcom. It's not just cutscenes that are well animated, the arts and crafts look beautiful as well. The entire game is just insanely smooth. Everything feels so natural, and the flow of combat is arguably the best it's ever felt. Although, keep in mind, my most recent game is CS3, so there's a chance that a future game could outdo it. But still, animations, combat, and especially the music of the game all come together to form something that so distinctively trails. It's a special feeling I can't get from any other series. This game is genuinely something special. Every single time I booted up the game and got to that title screen, this almost unexplainable feeling would wash over me. I swear, it always seemed like my worries just melted away whenever that music started playing. Almost like the game itself was telling me that everything was gonna be alright. Okay, I might be overdoing it just a bit. Moving on, let's go into combat. With this game being my first exposure to the Daybreak style of combat, I was really interested in seeing how fights would feel compared to what I've gotten used to. Long story short, I adapted almost immediately. At first, it was slightly awkward doing real-time combat, but that was really only because I'm so used to East. I just had to keep telling myself that there wasn't a jump button for the first few hours. But genuinely, aside from that, I had a lot of fun with this game's combat. The transitions from action to command battles are just so damn smooth, and actually being able to freely move around during battles was huge. Fighting enemies felt so much fun with both battle styles. I guess the only downside was that way later into the game, it almost felt like it took too long to stun enemies, but honestly that might have just been me being impatient, so it's really no big deal. Forts and orbments basically work the exact same as the other games, minus the more recent Master Quartz, but losing them wasn't too big of a deal. I got by just fine. Usually. Yeah, this game kinda kicked my ass from time to time. And I don't mean once in a blue moon I'd have a pretty close fight like with CS3. I'm talking about game over, reload save, rethink my whole strategy kind of fights. This game does not mess around, man. I really had to lock in. And honestly, it was really fun. Frustrating sometimes, sure. Especially since I feel like attacks end up missing way more often in this game. But fights were really enjoyable either way. The HP of some bosses really caught me off guard though, like they really scaled things up from the original. I feel like the fights definitely lasted longer, but with this battle system I was too focused to even notice how long I was fighting for. TLDR, I had lots of fun. And now I gotta talk about the music. Cause these new arrangements for Sky the First are genuinely incredible. Whenever I thought about the possibility of this game getting remade, the music was always the first thing that came to mind. The entire series has some generational tracks, but the music of the Sky trilogy is arguably the most iconic of the series. At least that's how I see it as someone who hasn't caught up yet. Anyways, I had faith that the arrangements were gonna be good, but in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, which song is Singer gonna fuck up this time? Either a good bit of the OST is arranged by him or he's not here at all. But to my surprise, not only was he here, he only arranged one song. Yeah, he cooked. That's really all I can say. I mean, everyone did, to be honest. This was absolutely the most consistent sounding Falcom OST in recent memory. Proud Nordics is a real close second though. Now, regarding the story, unlike my other reviews, I'm not actually gonna talk about it too much. Mostly because I've played the original, so I already knew what was gonna happen. What I can say, without spoiling, is that I genuinely forgot just how well crafted this game's story is. After getting to experience bigger and bigger plots from the Crossbell and Erebonia games, coming back to play through Sky felt like a breath of fresh air. It may not have that much going on compared to what comes after, but this story is still really special, man. I'm telling you, that ending somehow hit even harder the second time. I know I've been praising the game and basically calling it perfect this whole time, but as amazing as the game is, I do have one issue. And honestly, I don't think it's something too many people would care about, but it bugged me throughout my entire playthrough, so I really want to talk about it. My one issue with the game is Gung Ho's translation.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
Wait, no, don't click off. I'm not one of those people. I have genuine reasons for this. Just hear me out. When info about Sky the First was coming out, and we heard that instead of copying over the old script, they'd used it as a base for a new translation, I really didn't think anything of it. I know some people get really up in arms about translations and things like that, but it's never really been something I cared about. However, once I had the game in my hands and played for a few hours, I started to notice something. These characters feel really robotic. In the original game, and honestly the entire series, dialogue has always been a huge highlight to me. The way characters talk and interact with each other in these games always felt special, almost unlike any other series. And you know why? Cause the translation made everyone feel like a real person. The dialogue was so smooth and flowed so well because they didn't translate everything one to one. The dialogue in Sky the First feels empty and robotic so often. The way characters talk just feels weird or straight up wrong sometimes. After getting so used to Nisa and Exia translations, Gung Ho's just felt too literal. In past games, you always get so invested in conversations because the characters talk just like you know, like real people. That effect is lost dramatically in this remake, and it's my only complaint with an otherwise flawless game. Whenever Sky SC and 3rd get remade, I really hope they're just able to use the Exceed script. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. This remake was genuinely such an amazing experience. I swear, it felt like my soul got healed each and every time I loaded into the game. Capcom has been pushing past their limits with every new game they drop, and Sky the First feels like they've reached their absolute peak. I really have to wonder what game, if any, is gonna be able to top this. Will it be the second chapter remake? Is Kai 2 gonna end up being a massive step forward all around? Or maybe Tokyo Xanadu 2 will come through and manage to blow everything out of the water. I guess only time will tell. Anyways, that's all from me. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.